girl was walking down the street. And it was Catherine. I jumped up from the chair and leaned on the window. Yes, it was her. Again? However, Catherine didn't even spare my house a glance and entered Hemat's yard. Oh, catfight! World star! She rang the doorbell, and after a few seconds, the mistress of the house appeared at the doorstep. Of course, I couldn't hear them from this distance. Couldn't even really see their faces. Just a minute later, both of them went inside. I was so shocked that even the ability to think straight took a while to come back. It was obvious that Catherine came to explain herself. What else could this be? And she clearly believed I didn't deserve the same treatment. However, it was understandable. Gotcha cared a lot about what others thought of her. Even in a situation like this. What if they were all in cahoots? Hemat's father watching my family, Hemat's watching me, Catherine also watching me. Everyone watching me. These thoughts made my head spin and I had to sit down. But she was only going to make things worse. I had no idea what they were talking about, what they could be talking about after what happened yesterday. I couldn't imagine Catherine apologizing me. And proving something to Himitsu was simply beneath her dignity. The wait seemed painfully long. With having a tea party there while I was torturing myself. Finally, Catherine left the house and the door closed behind her, but I never saw Himitsu. Gotcha appeared to be outwardly calm as usual. Stumbling into walls, I ran into the hallway, put on my shoes, and rushed outside. Catherine walked the route to the city center, not very quickly, but not slowly either. I ran after her, doing my best to stay unnoticed. God, why was I doing this? Couldn't I just approach her and talk? And most importantly, what was my goal here? Trace her to the safe house and catch the entire US intelligence network red-handed? Unfortunately, decisions made once can be very hard to change on the go. The hangover was making itself known. Even walking was hard enough, not to mention pretending to be a spy. The bright sun was blinding me, making my head spin, and the running and agitation made me sweat like a pig. A decent Japanese passerby looked at me with surprise and apprehension. Odd behavior in public was not encouraged here. I mean, odd to any extent. My chase would have looked stupid in any country in the world. However, Catherine didn't look back once and thus never saw me, of course. Yeah, sure, she doesn't know you're there, bud, I'm sure of it. Soon we reached the city center, and Katya slowed down. Why did she come to this place? I had her first kiss at the window of that electronics store. There were way more people on the street than my alcohol-poisoned vestibular system could handle. I felt dizzy, off balance. At some point I lost sight of Catherine, and stopped immediately in order to avoid running into her. Well, that was it. The logical outcome. You make for a bad detective. Her bored voice came from behind me. You. When did you figure out I was following you? I could smell your booze breath from a mile away, Katya said annoyedly. Then why all this? Why not? I assume you're not going to tell me what you were doing at Himitsu's? Isn't it obvious? Catherine wasn't even trying to hide her irritation. Of course she was entitled to a reaction, but aggression this blatant was a bit much. Could have stopped by my place, too. Why would I? 'Cause you raped me yesterday. Is that so? She laughed much louder than would be considered appropriate. People looked at us with suspicion, so Katya continued in a lower voice. Well, go write a police statement. Perhaps I'll get deported. Then your life will be just fantastic. I don't see anything funny here. No reason for sarcasm. Oh, why not? So you found it necessary to talk to Himitsu. That's none of your business. She immediately interrupted me and quickly walked away. The hangover was still obstructing my thought process, so I just followed her, trying to figure out how to continue our dialogue. Or if it was worth continuing. Maybe you should be deported, I said eventually. I'd be delighted. Catherine turned around, and a weird, victorious, completely inappropriate smile appeared on her face. Is that really what you want? Have you ever wondered if I like spending my youth? She went quiet for a second, trying to find the right words, and then finished in a louder voice. Here? Indeed, we used to talk about this often. And I knew Japan wasn't Katya's dreamland. Sorry. Do you still think I wanted to return here? You could have told me from the beginning. I grumbled under my breath. No way, why would I? You have such a wonderful life here. Your own house, a maid. You know what? I interrupted her abruptly. Don't drag Himitsu into this. I didn't have time to finish. I didn't ask to be involved either. I just started to settle down in the States, make plans for the future. What college would accept me with a diploma like this? I understood her feelings, but couldn't do anything with mine. Is that what you care about? For a couple of seconds, Catherine stared at me with surprise and said, Fuck you. Hell yeah, let him know, Queen. And quickly walked away. No, you wait. I ran after her and grabbed her hand. Do you see what you've done to me? To us? What was that yesterday? Is this how you sublimate your problems? I don't think you know what that word means. I don't even know what that word means. Catherine looked unfazed, even though we were having a fight in the middle of the street. You know, this arrogance doesn't suit you at all, I said in a calmer tone, releasing her hand. You weren't like this before. Katya bit her lip and turned away. Whose fault do you think that is? Well, not mine. People break up, it happens. That doesn't make us enemies. It was unbelievably hard for me to say these words. You are so sure. You always think you know better than anyone else. And if I don't know something, it's because you don't share it with me. I was surprised by my own composure. Do you think this is just about me? I don't know, Katya. I don't know. That's the problem. You called me that again. She smiled sadly and I got flustered. It's second nature. Why don't you leave? She asked me in a tone that would suggest the preceding quarrel never happened. Excuse me? Back to the USSR. Well, it's obvious. I've lived here most of my life. Even though you dislike a lot of things about this place. Do you like everything about the US? Would you go there with me? Yes. She stepped closer and smugly looked me in the eyes. Catherine, enough. Is this a continuation of yesterday? Relax, I'm joking. She stepped back and immediately returned to that same indifferent facial expression. Your jokes are quite unusual these days. Even if they are, we're adults now. Does adult equate to insensitive in your mind? Well, definitely not to rabid. So I'm rabid now? Didn't you know? I had nothing to reply with and no desire to continue this conversation. Catherine simply stood there looking at me expectantly. Was this really worth the farce? Following me around? I felt my emotions begin to boil and my words felt as if uttered by someone else. First an angry whisper, then ever louder. We don't see each other for a year and a half, then you come back, don't bother explaining yourself, then your mother kidnaps me, and instead of having a normal talk, discussing it all, we fuck, and now you pretend like nothing happened. Am I the only one who thinks this isn't normal? Let's ask the Japanese, shall we? Excuse me. I roughly grabbed a person by the arm. Nikolai, calm down, Catherine said, scared. We were speaking English and thus weren't bothering people around us to a degree. Who knew what these gaijin were freaking out about? But grabbing people by the arm in the middle of the day was probably too much. Calm down? Why the fuck would I? Because you're embarrassing me. I don't give a shit. So you don't. Her eyes held so much anger and hatred it scared me. Then have your fun alone. Catherine left me surrounded by confused Japanese people. We aren't done. I quickly came to my senses and chased after her. Stop shouting, would you please? She abruptly went silent and frowned. Come. Ugh. She pointed at a building entrance next to us. Unexpectedly, this turned out to be our house. Come where? In your ass? To my place. Why? Just because, for fuck's sake. So stop embarrassing both of us in public. Won't your mother mind? I asked sarcastically. She's at work. Katya responded calmly. Is that so? I drawled. Oh my god, let's go already. You can overthink it later. I unwillingly trusted Catherine. Standards of decency meant much to her. Too much for my liking. I wasn't going to calm down though. I just couldn't. Fine, if you say so. God, Nikolai fucking sucks, dude. Katya inserted the key into the keyhole and froze for a moment. Something wrong? I don't know yet. You'll tell me when you do, right? Catherine opened the door and turned to me, strange indecisiveness in her eyes. I don't want to come off as tactless, but are we going to just stand here? She showed zero reaction to my joke either. Catherine? Yep, kind of what I figured. Came a familiar voice from inside the apartment. I had no idea she was home. Katya pleaded in a whisper. It's alright, let's go. Determined, I crossed the threshold. Whether it was an accident or not, Catherine wasn't lying to me now. Oh, what a pleasant surprise. Went to the living room, and as soon as Mrs. Winters noticed me, she threw aside the Time magazine she was reading. Something about selling America on its cover, stood up and smiled. If I didn't know what kind of person she really was, if that interrogation never happened, would I have believed this smile? It feels like we haven't seen each other for an eternity. Well done bringing Nikolai here, Catherine. Mom, aren't you supposed to be at work? Lucky me for finding a spare minute. I couldn't understand what this farce was for. Katya knew what had happened because I told her. I knew because I was there myself. Mrs. Winters knew. Knew enough to not continue this stupid performance. Dear, please make us some tea. You don't like coffee, Nikolai, do you? No. Would a normal person remember such a trifling detail? Nevertheless, she was the one who was setting the rules. As disgusted as I was, I couldn't just tell her everything that was on my mind, especially with Catherine around. When the door of the kitchen closed, Mrs. Winters graciously sat down on the sofa, crossed her legs, and invited me to sit next to her with a gesture. I'd rather stand. Do you want Catherine to hear everything? I think you kept secrets from your own daughter. She squinted and gave me an appraising look. Anyway, I wasn't really going to argue with her. I just wanted to preserve a shred of dignity. I sat on the edge of the sofa, as far from her as I could. Why does it seem to me that it isn't a coincidence that you're at home right now? I've already told you not to believe in coincidences. So what do you need from me? What was that kidnapping and interrogation for? Why this conversation? Really, she wasn't demanding anything in particular from me, unlike Irina. At that moment, and the day after, I wasn't in the right condition to analyze everything that had happened calmly, but now it seems strange to me. I just want to help you. And once again, she flashed that devilish smile that hid her true intentions. I didn't know what Cheryl Winters was up to, what she had prepared for me and Katya, and that scared me even more. Does Catherine know what you do besides diplomatic affairs? Oh, I think she does now. You've told her, haven't you? You know what I'm talking about. Well, let me think. She moved closer to me and leaned down so I could clearly see the inside of her blouse. That was a completely unnecessary maneuver, Cheryl-san. Your daughter's breasts were more than enough for me yesterday. Wait, what kind of nonsense was I was thinking about? She continued in a half whisper. What kind of mother would I be if I put the life of my own daughter in danger? So, associating with me puts her life in danger. Or what? I don't understand you. Here's the tea. Catherine slowly walked into the room with a tray in her hands, while Mrs. Winters prudently moved away from me. Oh, it's so late already. I need to hurry. Have fun. Mom? What were you talking about? The tea was getting cold on the table, and an uncomfortable silence hung in the air. If I were to tell her now that I believed her, that I believed that she didn't know, if I were to say that right after I had talked to her mother, I would thus acknowledge that I didn't, for a second, trust her own words. I don't understand what she wants from me. She could at least try to make herself clear. I mean, I really have no idea. None. Catherine lowered her head and looked away. I'm sorry it turned out this way. You couldn't know. And still, as soon as I start thinking for a minute that I'm in control of my life, what would I feel with a mother like hers? What kind of mother would I be if I put the life of my own daughter in danger? Isn't safety a necessary attribute of freedom? To some extent, a prison is a very safe place. Cheryl Winters has been carrying her daughter around like a suitcase for her entire life. What about Catherine's own feelings? You make friends, fall in love, and yet can't be sure tomorrow you won't be taken to the other end of the world? Katya, I'm sorry. I sat next to her and hugged her. Could I consider us together again after what had happened yesterday, please? It's not your fault. I didn't feel any reciprocity. So I let go of her. I just want to say that I was thinking only about myself and my own problems. I didn't understand how you felt. Good to hear that. She looked at me and gave me a slight smile. I'd like to do something and help somehow, but I don't know what I can do here. And to be honest, I'm not in a position to say something like that. Thank you for the kind words, at least. Katya. I was about to kiss her, but Catherine quickly jumped off the sofa. You'd better talk with Himitsu and clear things up. Clear up what, exactly? Although I knew what she was trying to say. Why Himitsu? Oh, who else were you going to clear it up with? Who is there to clear something else? Why now, of all times? I don't want to talk about her. And that was the truth. And if I tell you what I was doing at her place this morning? I don't care. Naturally, I did care, but I simply couldn't allow myself to be blackmailed like that. If you really didn't, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Catherine turned away and then, apparently, noticed the tray, picked it up and walked to the kitchen. So should I think that nothing's changed in our relationship? Even after what happened yesterday? She froze in the doorway but didn't turn to me. Are all changes for the better? The conversation was over. Catherine started washing the dishes and it was time for me to leave. There was still Himitsu. There sure was. But unfortunately, I am going to have to end it there for today. But damn. See, that's what I'm talking about. Just out of nowhere, I'm in Catherine's corner now. All it took was one moment in Himitsu's route, and all of a sudden, I'm in Catherine's corner. Catherine's my homie. Alright? Well, honestly, it was more so not even like that one moment from Himitsu definitely did a lot, but then after you actually interacted with her mother in Himitsu's route, that definitely, made me come to realize quite a few things. So yeah. So yeah. Catherine's my homie. I'm sorry. Just gonna have to deal with it. That's my homie. But yes, I'm gonna end this recording session here. It's either gonna be a jump cut or a new video. But regardless, I'll see y'all in the next recording session. Until then, peace. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to more Love, Money, Rock and Roll. In the previous recording session, we wrapped up Himitsu's route, which was nice, but left me with some questions. Some questions I'm sure I can only find answers in with Catherine's route. So of course, right after we wrapped up Himitsu's route, jumped immediately into Catherine's route. And things got heated very quickly. Catherine's mother kidnaps us almost right away, which was interesting. Then Nikolai and Catherine end up boning almost right away, which was interesting. Himitsu walks in on this, which was definitely an event. And then, now it seems like Nikolai's not as hyped about this romance as he thought he was, which is exactly what I kind of predicted, but it's still irritating. The fact that in every other route he's constantly like, Catherine, 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 right? But now we get to Catherine's route and he's like, but do I really love Catherine though? Is this really the relationship I want? Am I really about it for Catherine? And that's been definitely getting on my nerves. All right. As we can tell just from the text that's up now, there was still Himitsu. Like, who gives about Himitsu right now? Who gives a fuck? I mean, for one, I think I already said this, but there isn't still Himitsu because she walked in on y'all fucking. That pretty sure that chicken's flown the coop, my friend. But yeah, it's irritating me exactly as I thought it would. But enough reminiscing about the past. Let's move on towards the future, where I'm still gonna get irritated, I'm sure. If I weren't killed today or tomorrow, if I were to live in this house, this city, this country, I would have to interact with her somehow. What a cold, emotionless word. Interact. Sounded like a report about testing Zyklon B. The gas interacted with the subject's respiratory systems. But I just couldn't imagine Himitsu in a Gruppenführer uniform issuing the command to release the gas. However, I didn't know how to look her in the eyes after what I had heard from her father. What? Oh, right. Right, because that still happens. Okay, yeah. I'm like, what did you hear from her father? You're right. That is another thing about Catherine's route that's kind of fucked. Is like, you still have his half-assed confession of love towards Himitsu. The part where he's just like, hey, I love you. Okay, let's go home. And then, yeah, it once again has the event play out where he runs off to the mountains to try to see Himitsu again. Overhears her dad about him spying on his family. And now there's that one. But yeah, the whole thing that just rubs me the wrong way is the fact that, yes, he still has his half-assed confession of love to Himitsu, and then he bones Catherine. Like, not a fan of that. But once again, I'm still waiting to hear what Himitsu did. I need to hear that. Before I pass judgment on anyone or anything, I need to know what Himitsu did. I need to know. I'm not going to know if I just keep here rambling, so let's go on. After what she saw yesterday, yeah. I still felt ashamed. You can't change your attitude towards the person who's been the closest to you for the past 10 years overnight. That is a fair point. I'll give you that much. I was pointlessly wandering around as the sun slowly neared the horizon, wrapping itself in rare, fleecy clouds. The skyscrapers of glass and concrete were highlighted like huge candles, bringing their shine to the sky. Turbulent streams of cars spilled onto the avenue in the evening rush hour, beeping, overtaking each other, and trying to win at least a couple extra meters to get to a higher position in the endless traffic jam. I sat on a bench and started looking at this pointless race, Sisyphus against the stone. Why hurry to get to the top if you'll just have to start everything over again? Somebody sat next to me and unfolded a huge newspaper. I wasn't even particularly surprised when I realized it was Irina. Anything interesting to read? She didn't turn to me or react in any way at all. Sometime later replied, not very loudly or quietly, as if talking to herself. Don't look at me. You mean someone's watching us? I mean that caution never goes amiss. Why not just come to my house then? Ask your American girlfriend. Is that what you want to talk about? Stop playing dumb, Nikolai. I heard the soft rustle of paper. You've been told to behave normally, to not stand out, do nothing, and not stick your nose where it's not supposed to be. What did I do exactly? Can't I just visit a classmate? I don't know what kind of business you're having with Ito's daughter. After all, it's none of ours. But the CIA? Do you really think, I interrupted her, that I am some sort of goddamn spy? That I'm working with both the Japanese and the Americans, know everything about my parents' work, and have some secret document somewhere? Do I look like that person? I wasn't shouting, but my voice was clearly louder than she wanted. No, you don't. Irina finally responded, gritting her teeth. Still, the facts are clear. CIA agents took you in the middle of the day and didn't even pay a second thought neither to us nor, what is even weirder, the Japanese. This could possibly mean only one thing. They really needed something from you. I smirked. If only she knew what Catherine's mother had really told me. Or, well, if she only knew that she hadn't told me anything. Maybe that was the plan, to frame me in the eyes of the KGB. Two pieces of the puzzle seemed to connect, showing me the overall shape of the building's foundation. But the biggest issue was that this entire building was founded on the theory of my exceptional importance in the geopolitical affairs of great superpowers. And I couldn't believe that at all. What's so funny? Nothing. Just seems like you're taking me for some sort of James Bond. Whatever the case, we don't know what you talked about. We have no reason to trust you at this stage, even if you wanted to tell us. Then why are you here? Irina carefully folded the newspaper and looked at me for the first time. In the rays of the setting sun, her wheat-colored hair seemed to have come alive, making me imagine a boundless field somewhere on the side of the Volga River. I got embarrassed and looked away. She was beautiful. Something about her was giving away impulsiveness and juvenile radicalism, the desire, but not always the capability, to serve and be acknowledged, the negligence of the little things. Irina could make mistakes, while waving her sharp scythe and dropping crops into neat stacks. Unlike Mrs. Winters, she wouldn't be cutting each and every one of them at the root, examining them carefully, studying them, paying attention to the smallest details. To warn you again, Nikolai, you are also involved in the Cold War. All there's left to do is pick a side. Fiery speeches from Soviet propaganda were hardly able to impress me. She looked around and frowned. What's most important, I can't figure out why the hell it has to be you. She could do with less emotion, being a spy and all. No wonder the USSR wasn't exactly winning in this Cold War. Even though you may be the most awkward candidate for the position. If only you knew how awkward it feels to me. The poor craftsman blames his tools. So you believe that I have nothing to do with your spy games? Suddenly Irina smiled, which made me uncomfortable. Today she was much friendlier than last time. It was frightening. Mrs. Winters resembled a hawk, hiding in an ambush and long awaiting for its prey. Irina was more like a lion, a strong, powerful, but impulsive animal. And lions often play with, or even caress their prey before they eat it. So what did you talk with the American about? Just as I thought, the friendly expression disappeared from her face in an instant. The same I did with you. My parents' work, some documents I've never seen in my life. Very strange. She paused. What exactly? That is, if you are telling the truth. God. I sighed and threw my hands up. All right. She smiled again, and that time the smile seemed even sincere. It's strange that the Americans are interested in the documents. It might mean that some information has indeed been leaked to the outside. And right into my hands, naturally. I replied sarcastically, but immediately felt the collar of my shirt become a bit too tight. If you really had those documents, they wouldn't have let you go so easily. Sounds logical. It suddenly appeared to me as if she felt sympathetic towards me to an extent, and was even trying to help in her own way. I'll be beyond myself when this is all over. I'd expect so. And for now, Nikolai, you'd better lay low. Call the school and say you're sick. Buy enough food for a week or two. Stay at home, watch TV, read books. Nothing you can do if someone does come. Open the door. But remember, don't say anything you're not supposed to say, and don't do anything that might have consequences. Better yet, don't do or say anything at all. Can I at least ask who you want me to be hiding from? First and foremost, yourself. You can't just live your life peacefully, can you? Why did you need to go to Ito's village in the night? Why, indeed. Sometimes I thought that it would be better if I knew nothing. The Americans need you for some reason. I don't know why, but it's clear they expect something from you. Some action. So for your own sake, it would be better to not give them a reason to do anything. Do you really think the CIA cares about human lives? Nope. Something was telling me the KGB wasn't the Salvation Army either. Nope. So let us do our job for a week or two at least, and then a soup with a cat. I don't know that euphemism, but alright. I'm glad that you haven't forgotten your motherland's culture. Can I ask you two questions before you leave? Go ahead, you've earned it. Himitsu, Ito's daughter. Is she somehow involved? You mean if she works for Japanese intelligence? Irina smirked. She may be carrying out some orders of his, but I can't say for sure. What about Catherine Winters? Same thing, and in any case, it's not them you should be afraid of. I understand. Well, if you do. She stood up, adjusted her skirt with a gesture that seemed absolutely childish to me, and bid farewell. Don't worry about anything, Nikolai. The motherland is watching. That's what worries me the most. I muttered under my breath when Irina disappeared into the dense crowd of white collars hurrying to get home. What if I had actually made Himitsu into a paper tiger? Once again, not understanding that reference. What exactly did Ito say? That his daughter was handling the task well and that she knew more about my life than I did? What if he had just asked Himitsu to tell him how I was doing now and then, while I imagined her in the role of a cold-blooded spy? Could the girl I knew my entire life commit such a betrayal? I'm thinking so. I'm really thinking so. Maybe not the betrayal you're thinking of, but I'm thinking she could commit some shit you wouldn't imagine. That's the whole point why I'm doing this route first. Well, technically third, but first before Aldie's. But I couldn't find the strength to talk to her openly. I had too many secrets myself. I had lied to her too many times and brought her too much pain. Would she even talk to me after what she saw yesterday? I would have never thought that such a twist would happen in my life. I would lose Himitsu, but get together with Catherine again. Together? Again? I smirked and raised my head. Yes, together again. God damn it, you son of a bitch.